Hey guys, East from FGC Academy here. Recently, Capcom released a Season 2 update for Street Fighter V. This includes a slew of changes for the characters, as well as mechanics updates for the entire system of the game. It can be a little bit difficult to sift through the notes that they released, so what we're doing here today is taking a look at some of the more influential changes that you should be on the lookout for Season 2. Let's take a look. So, Season 1, Nash wasn't a character who particularly looked amazing on paper, but people or players like Infiltration, who are already very good, showed how a lot of really small things come together to make a really big problem. I think Infiltration really popularized the kind of slippery in and out, hit and run style that Nash is kind of famous for now. Also other players like Yukadon. In Season 2, I really think that but Nash players in general are going to have to be a bit more defensive in how they play and have to weigh risk and reward a bit more, which is, I guess, a welcome change if you have to play against Nash. Looking first at some of his buffs, the medium kick, heavy kick target combo got a new addition, so now you can do medium kick, heavy kick into V skill, which will get you a bit of V meter, which is a nice change. His other target combos were changed a bit more. I really suggest you take a look at some of those if you're a Nash player. Some saw some damage increases, some saw some stun increases. Although the medium kick, heavy kick target combo by itself, the heavy kick did see a negative 15 damage decrease. I think that's solely because they intend for you to always follow up with the medium kick, heavy kick. The medium punch, heavy punch. Medium punch, medium kick. Afterward to get the V skill. In addition to that, V skill did get a 10 damage increase from 60 damage before now to 70 damage, and on physical hits, you get more V gauge. So in the past, you got plus 60 V gauge. Now you'll get 80, which is a big jump, I think, considering how strong Nash's V skill is. His sonic booms were given +1 frame advantage. I believe they do knock back less, though. So I guess that's a good and a bad thing. Mostly good though, because if it knocks the opponent back less and you're at more frame advantage on hit, you have the ability to continue pressuring more, which is, I think, Nash players will really like. Also, this might seem kind of random, but I think it's a good change considering how strong Tragedy Assault is as a combo move. It was given a 50 stun increase, I believe, across the board. So from 100 before to 150. I think this might be because some of his other moves saw a little bit of stun reduction, but overall I think it's a welcome change. And taking a look at some of his nerfs, the nerfs are where you're really going to see the playstyle that was made popular by Infiltration and other strong Nash players is really going to be weakened. For example, his forward dash and back dash were made worse. So his forward dash was made longer, and while it sounds good that he moves faster forward, that's a bad thing, because now that means he's in your face longer before he can do anything. If that makes sense. So he moves forward faster, so the end of his dash, he's just standing in front of you. So I mean, that gives you more of a chance to hit him. Although it was a small reduction, a small increase, it still gives you a better chance to hit him before he just smacks you out of his dash. The back dash was made worse in the fact that he moves back less. Not the speed, but the space that he moves back was lowered. So that kind of in and out style where you saw Nash just kind of hitting, dashing back, and throwing fireballs is probably going to be less effective. And the next one, hitboxes have been made smaller and hurt boxes have been made bigger overall. I don't have the time to go over pretty much the fact that every move was made for the hitbox to be bigger, or around his feet are bigger. and the hurt boxes have, excuse me, the hurt boxes have been made bigger and the hit boxes have been made smaller for nearly every single move that he has. In addition to that, he's seen hurt boxes around his feet during recovery made larger or made there at all. So people who are just whiffing moves in at mid-range are really going to have trouble, because your moves during recovery are going to stay, the hit boxes or the hurt boxes are going to stay out longer, and you're going to get smacked during recovery. This is a big one. I think this might be because Capcom decided to reduce the power of invincible reversals overall, but in the past, Nash's V-trigger was 2-frame startup, so if you didn't hit it within the first 2 frames, he could just teleport away. Now it's 4-frame startup. That's going to be a really big blow, I think, to Nash players, considering that free out or that free mix-up on V-trigger is almost not possible at all anymore. If the opponent is within 3 frames, you get smacked. Excuse me, 4 frames. Sorry, if the opponent hits you within 4 frames, you're done. V skills, excuse me, not V skill, but V reversals distance was shortened. So a lot of Nash players said, well, I mean, I use V trigger and V skill for the same reason, so I'm just going to get 2 V skills instead of 1 V trigger. Well, now the fact that V skill retains the same properties that it has, so it's incredibly hard to hit, because you can't hit it at all. You have to throw it or hit it with a fireball. But the distance that he moves has been shortened, so it's more likely that you can be thrown during the recovery of this move. And also, excuse me, right across the board, a lot of Nash's special attacks have been nerfed in some way. Just for example, Moonsaults saw less damage, 10 damage reduction there from 70 to 60. His medium kick Scythe is now -10 on block instead of -8, so people use that to kind of space out their opponent. It's a bit more impossible now to do that. Also, Sonic Scythe, the heavy kick version, saw a 10 damage reduction and a 50 stun reduction. And this is maybe the potential reason why Tragedy Assault was given plus 50 stun. They just kind of moved the stun from one area to the next. So yeah, overall, Nash, I think if you're playing him or trying to play him in the same style that you did in Season 1, you're really going to struggle. There's just really no way around it. The forward dash, back dash are worse. His whiffed hitboxes are worse overall. Hitboxes or hurt boxes are worse. V-trigger has more startup, and V-skills distance is short, so you can likely be thrown out of it. Honestly, the buffs don't really feel like they make up for the nerfs that he got. So you're going to have to play him in a more, I guess, I don't want to say Guile-esque way, but in a more patient and defensive play style. You're really going to have to pick your spots when you go in, rather than just kind of hitting in, going out, hitting in, going out. So yeah, if you're a Nash player, I don't see you being successful using the same playstyle from Season 1 into Season 2. So let's take a look at Karin. Karin was a character who in Season 1 was really strong on footsies, and what really stopped her from competing with the maybe upper echelon of characters was the fact that she had trouble anti-airing. Because now her go-to anti-air, which was standing jab, has been reduced for all characters across the board. Capcom decided for buffs they would give her a new target combo, and so jumping medium punch now target combos or chains right into jumping heavy punch. I really did some testing with this to see if I could get anything combo wise. If you do just the jumping medium punch now, the opponent gets put in a kind of juggle state, but it's really difficult, nigh impossible, to catch them in a combo and doing jumping medium punch and then landing and then doing something on the ground. You have to basically predict the jump before your opponent, and then they have to jump and you have to hit them so you can hit the ground earlier. It's not really possible, so I think that this is a buff that will give Karin players a bit more reward when they're trying to anti-air, but it's really difficult to make the jump, to get the jump medium punch before the opponent hits you and anti-air that way. I feel like if she has trouble doing or using crouching heavy punch to anti-air, this will be a really difficult option to go to for Karin. Although it is nice that she does get more reward off of a read on a jump. Next, I think a design philosophy that went into balancing Karin is the fact that Capcom said, take all of the basic or starter moves and nerf them, but buff all of the options from those moves. That's a thing that you're going to see a lot with Karin players now. For example, her Gurren specials in V-Trigger, so the specials she only gets access to while she has V-Trigger activated, the initial hit was nerfed a bit, but they buffed in stun and damage, at least 10 to 20 damage. I believe 20 to 50 stun for all of her Gurren specials have been increased. So I think that's Capcom's way of saying they want Karin players to take more risks, considering she is so solid in the footsie game. And next, it's not a huge buff, but her Mujin Kyaku, her kicking attack, did see critical art gauge gain. I think this is to off-balance the fact that they made it a little bit unsafer. I think some Karin players usually just throw it out in hopes that the opponent would just get hit by it. Of course, the follow-ups have been buffed, but the original Mujin Kyaku has been nerfed, so to speak. When I say the follow-ups have been buffed, I mean the second hits, like for example the flip jump, has seen some boost in usefulness through damage, as well as the the slide. So I think they've increased your reward for getting those, but they've decreased the reward for just doing the Mujin Kyaku. It's also more negative on hit, I believe, just the regular. And so let's take a look at some of the nerfs that she got. I think this is something that happened across the board, so it's not a huge blow to Karin, but it does hurt her a lot. But her standing heavy punch and standing heavy kick both lost damage. Not a huge drop, just 10 points, but I think the fact that standing heavy kick, which was kind of her, I guess, party combo starter into V-Trigger, got nerfed, means that she'll be seeing lower damage outputs going directly into V-Trigger from standing heavy kick. Next, like I said before, Karin was a character who was really, really strong in the footsie game. I think a really common tool that was used by Karin players was the fact that she could do standing medium kick. She was 0 on block, and then she could immediately take like a small step forward and do crouching medium kick, which would catch players trying to walk back or get out of her pressure. Now that's a bit more risky because the standing medium kick was reduced. Has reduced frame advantage on block, so she's going from 0 to -2 now. This means it's more of a risk for Karin players to take that step forward after a successfully blocked standing medium kick, because the opponent might hit a button and you'd probably get hit in the time you're trying to go forward and do the crouching medium kick. Continuing on, her Tenko and shoulder both lost damage. In this case, the Tenko that I'm referring to is her just frame. So the regular Tenko is unchanged. It still does 60 damage. The Tenko lost 10 damage, so now it went from 80 to 70. And the shoulder also lost a little bit of damage. These being like I said before, kind of the starter options for other combos. They did see some sort of nerf. However, also her Rasenha lost 20 damage. So this is kind of a bigger nerf, I think, but I think it's Capcom's way of trying to dissuade players from just randomly doing it full screen. So before the attacks, light, medium, and heavy did 90, 100, 110 respectively. Now they all do 70, 80, 90, light, medium, heavy respectively. Although all of the follow-ups were buffed, at least 10 damage or 10 to 20 to 50 stun buffs across the board for all of the Rasenha follow-ups. So again, it's Capcom's way of saying it's great that you're playing very solid, but we want you to take a little bit of risk, and here's a higher reward for that risk that you're taking. And finally, Karin's V-skill. She lost 1 frame advantage on block. That might not seem like a huge change. I think it's mostly for characters who have trouble punishing attacks from far away. Karin's V-skill, this one I'm talking about the uncharged version again. When she does it, there are some characters who had particularly a lot of trouble punishing her or getting advantage because their moves were too slow to reach her, but hers were fast enough to reach them at that range. So here it went from -1 to -2 on block. Again, you still can't be punished, but it does stop her abusability of some of the slower characters in the cast. So yeah, Karen's a character who I think uh, Capcom's design philosophy again was nerf the starters, buff the risk-taking aspect of her. So they know that she's a very solid character. I think Justin Wong proved that in Season 1. They want Karen players to get more damage, but they also want Karen players to take more risks. So I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of a not super risky play out of Karen, but the smarter Karens will pick their spots of when to take a risk and to get the extra damage. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about the changes so far in the comments below. Also, let us know what characters you'd like to see next. So we are trying to get these out as soon as possible, hopefully finishing up the entire cast in about 2 or 3 weeks. So let us know who you want to see next. Thanks, take care, keep on fighting.